Tonight, parents look for an apology after being turned away from a Yorkton hospital and delivering their baby on a bedroom floor. Also, the price of flying out of Regina will get more expensive this spring. Plus, an internationally ranked athlete gets to compete in front of her home crowd in Saskatoon this weekend.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Thursday, January 26th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Good evening, and thanks for joining us. Many pregnancies do come with complications, but you don't expect being turned away from the hospital when you're in labor to be one of them. That was the experience of a Stockholm couple seeking medical help in Yorkton last month. As Pratush Jayal reports, it led to the mother giving birth on a bedroom floor.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Crazy experience. A story to remember for a lifetime, that's for sure.
On December 20th around 8 a.m., as the wind chill lingered around minus 40 Celsius, Tara Liu says she started experiencing irregular contractions. And by 2 p.m., following a 45 minutes drive from their home in Stockholm, the couple arrived at the Yorkton Regional Hospital. Tara says the hospital staff told them to go shopping or for supper, that she didn't need to be there yet and that everything seemed fine. The couple walked around in the mall and were back at the hospital just before 6 p.m. Tara's contractions were now 6 to 8 minutes apart. Because she was only 3 centimeters dilated, again, she wasn't admitted.
Like my contractions were bringing me down to my knees at the hospital. But when they told me to go get a hotel or go home, you know, what are you supposed to do when you're 45 minutes away? So that's why we went to my mom's condo.
Tara took a warm bath, her contractions continuing to get stronger. When she got out, she laid down on the floor to relax. And then,
all of a sudden, it was, yeah, the baby was coming. I told my husband and my brother to call 911 now. The baby came so fast that the EMS wasn't there.
The family is thankful to the 911 operator who became a coach for Mitchell, walking him through the steps of delivery to cutting the umbilical cord right on the bedroom floor. Firefighters arrived and then the paramedics. Then, mom and her new baby boy were taken to the hospital.
Oh, I was definitely scared to say the least, and in shock, of course. All the different thoughts that were going through my mind of things that could have been wrong. Thankfully, nothing did. But that was kind of the one thing that was constantly going through my mind, and it was just flashing through. I could barely even understand what the 911 dispatch person was even saying. Thankfully for her brother, he was able to relay all that information back to me to go and make a successful delivery. But at the same time, I was shaking, definitely. And then I was probably in shock for almost a full day until realization of it finally set in. It's like, we just did this. It was a miracle for sure.
The parents say a simple apology from the hospital would have been good.
If the hospital even kept us for 2 to 3 hours longer, it could have made a huge difference, right? But since they didn't even do that, it was just kind of a nightmare.
Their latest healthy addition makes them a family of 5. The couple says the experience has left them skeptical about returning to that hospital. Yorkton Regional Hospital declined to comment, and the public health says it cannot comment on specific cases due to privacy legislation. But the couple says the Ministry of Health did apologize and also waived half of the $750 ambulance bill. Pratush Jayal, CBC News, Saskatoon.
Heavy snow, pouring rain, sunshine, weather warnings. It has been a wild day outdoors. Our weather specialist, Ethan Williams, joins me now. What is the current status?
Oh, well, the good news is, Sam, I think that most of the moisture has moved out of the province. We still do have quite a bit of wind with us, though. We do have some preliminary data. Now, this is as of 7:30 a.m. this morning. We'll have a better update probably tomorrow morning at 7:30 on numbers. But Prince Albert so far picking up about 10 centimeters of snow. Isle La Crosse and Emma Lake kind of in the 6 to 7 centimeter range, even as far south as Strasbourg by 7:30 this morning, picking up just over 4 centimeters. And, of course, the winds. This is just a sampling of of what we've seen. The highest gusts around Saskatoon this afternoon around 4 o'clock, around 80 kilometers an hour. Other regions well into the 70s, including Regina hitting a gust of 71. And in fact, the city of Regina, as well as Weyburn and Estevan, now under newly issued wind warnings through the night tonight. And this system causing some issues with power lines. If you're east of Kindersley or Outlook, expect your power to be out until around 8:30 this evening, according to Sask Power. Now, of course, Sam, the cold air comes in after this. I'll tell you how cold it's going to get a little bit later.
All right. Thanks, Ethan.
You're welcome.
Now, while the city of Regina continues to search for a permanent location for a winter shelter, a new temporary one is opening in the Queen City. Located inside the Nest Health Center, the former YMCA building, it will be managed and operated by Regina Treaty Status Indian Services. The city is paying for the lease and the province is paying $400,000 for operational funding. Today, the media was invited for a tour and to meet the many partners involved.
We'll be opening on Monday and be able to provide a service that's so desperately needed.
So having everything under one roof here.
Immediately, 40 people will be off the street for the night. That's first and foremost. But also, many of the people that we worked with last year, it was also 40 beds, but I think it was over 300 people came through the doors during that time. And I would say that we still work with about half of that number from last year. And unfortunately, due to just by virtue of what we work in, they haven't survived. And that weighs very heavily on our shoulders, that due to, circumstances, addictions, where it is, we have lost people. And it's in their memory and their honor that we continue to work harder and better, hopefully, individually, as agencies and together. While I give that as a reminder of what we all sit with every day with that collective responsibility, that we have also seen many people move along the spectrum, and even people who utilized our facility last year are now gainfully employed and in apartments and even reunified with their families. Or they've actually moved back to their communities as well as contributing members. There's both the sadness because of the very nature of what we're doing here, but there's also incredible hope and opportunity for people as well.
Via Rail executives were grilled by MPs on the Transport Committee today about travel delays, especially what happened when a winter storm hit right around the holidays. One of the passenger trains was stuck between Ottawa and Toronto for about 18 hours after a tree fell. Via said it fell short on communicating with passengers.
The outlier is train 55. Given the protracted delay, given the lack of clear information that we were able to garner, there was misinformation we offered the passengers. We exacerbated the level of anxiety of those passengers on board, and that's on us.
Via's interim president told MPs that many cancellations were caused by a CN freight train that derailed east of Toronto, and said it was up to CN to clear the infrastructure it owns. Via said it's hired outside consultants to examine what happened. Those on board stranded trains have said they did not have proper access to food. Via passengers experienced widespread delays and cancellations between December 23rd and 26th. Speaking of travel, the cost of flying through the Regina International Airport is going up this spring. Beginning April 1st, the passenger facility fee is increasing by $10 to $30. The fee is charged to the airline and passed down to the ticket fee. The airport authority says it's necessary with more than $15 million in pandemic losses, combined with inflation, rising interest rates, and a significant runway project starting. The fee was previously called the Airport Improvement Fee, and it hasn't been increased since 2012. New data shows police across Saskatchewan reported more than 400 impaired driving offences last month. That resulted in 240 criminal charges and 174 sanctions, like vehicle impoundments. The stats were released by SGI this week. Police say 414 impaired driving offences is the most they've seen in the month of December since 2019, before the pandemic hit. A spokesperson from SGI says this shows police officers have better tools and training to detect drivers under the influence of both drugs and alcohol. Nearly 500 distracted driving tickets were also handed out in December. 411 of them were for cell phone use. Saskatoon sports fans will get a chance to see one of their local stars compete against an international field this weekend. She and her coach are hoping to show young athletes that it's possible to chase your dreams without leaving home. Jason Warwick has the story.
Starting in lane 2 with Michelle Harrison, double national champion from Canada.
Saskatoon's Michelle Harrison had a breakout year in 2022.
Good start from Nia Ali, what a way.
She qualified for the semi-finals of the 100-meter hurdles at the World Championships in Oregon, raced for Team Canada across North America and Europe, and finished near the top of the world rankings. She did it all while living and training in Saskatoon.
I do have a really good support team in terms of IST, massage and chiro that I can count on, and then just the support of my family and friends as well.
This weekend, Michelle Harrison gets a chance to race in front of a home crowd on the Saskatoon Fieldhouse track for the Knights of Columbus Indoor Games. It's on this track, at this track meet, that Michelle Harrison got her start. That was nearly 20 years ago, running the relays with her Lakewood Elementary School teammates. Now she's the headliner in an international field of competitors.
I really like the Knights of Columbus because it's been a part of my life since I started in the sport. I started out running the relays in elementary school and was part of the KFC. I think our our elementary school team still holds one of the records. So it's cool to be able to advance through the elementary school relays and as a club, and now running in the invitational section. I think that part's pretty special.
The arm and the trail leg come down.
Harrison and her coach have been training hard this winter, paying attention to every little detail, because they know races are often decided by hundredths of a second.
Put the arm down, put the arm down.
And they're hoping to show everyone that it's possible to reach your dreams without having to move away.
You know, being her from Saskatoon, myself from Saskatoon, both of us Evan Hardy graduates, there's a little bit of a hometown pride kind of thing, and luckily we've got the supports.
Harrison is hoping all this work will lead to the ultimate goal, a spot in the 2024 Olympics. This weekend's races could bring her one step closer. Jason Warwick, CBC News, Saskatoon.
Getting traction in some areas was a challenge in Saskatchewan today. In other areas, there was too much snow and it needed to be moved. And then there was the rain that made things so slippery and slushy too. And don't forget, the sun also came out. What a wild day it's been for Saskatchewan weather. When we come back, Ethan will have your forecast. Stay with us. A Montreal police officer recently had the night of his life, but he was wearing a completely different uniform and responding to a very different emergency. A week ago, he got the call to be the backup goalie for the Florida Panthers. Kwabena Oduro has the story.
This is what I wear every day. This is my job, and this is my passion.
Patrick Severefis is hoping to live out his childhood dream of playing NHL hockey. He came close last Thursday.
The fact that I got to dress and put on a jersey, that was the moment where I went wow, okay, I'm really doing something. It's when they gave me the jersey, I'm about to put on an NHL jersey, something I've dreamt on all my life.
Severefis is an emergency backup goalie, or EBUG. Every NHL arena has one, who attends each game just in case. In the event a goalie is injured, they could be called on to play for either team. Last Thursday, it was the Florida Panthers' Sergei Bobrovsky, and Severefis was told to suit up and head to the locker room.
It was really a first-class experience. I felt like I was part of the Panthers organization for just a moment, just a little moment.
Severefis never made it on the ice, but feels like he won, along with the Panthers, who beat the Canadiens 6-2.
Yeah, Patrick, he was in the room. We had him in the room in between periods. I just changed my language a little bit so he doesn't tell anybody that the coach swears a lot. That's all. Good guy. Patrick, he hang out with us. Yeah, we fed him after too.
This is not the first time an EBUG dressed for an NHL game. David Ayres, a Zamboni driver for the Toronto Maple Leafs, was the first to win. In nets for the Hurricanes, he saved 8 out of 10 shots he faced.
The next step is definitely getting to play and try to win, to try to beat out David Ayres, because not that I get annoyed or anything, but I'd like that people stop talking about David Ayres and they start talking about me at some point.
Although Severefis doesn't get paid for his services, he plans to do it as long as he can.
I don't think there's a word in the English language that would define or say the extent of how thankful I would be to realize that dream.
And he hopes when he finally makes it on the ice, it will be for the Bleu Blanc et Rouge. Rubino Duro, CBC News, Mercier.
This weather update is brought to you by the Capital Automotive Group. Trade and upgrade is on now.
Our weather specialist, Ethan Williams, joins me now. I would never get called in that position because I'm the duck and cover kind of goalie.
Yeah, and I can barely skate, let alone be able to save any goals. So I think I'd be out on that one.
We'll stick to our day jobs.
Yeah, I think we can do those pretty good. But weather-wise, it's a little tricky to be a weather specialist when you got all this kind of crazy weather going on. Let's take a look at where that system is right now. It's out of the province. Moisture's gone. It's into Manitoba now. Of course, we still have those wind warnings still in effect for Regina and Weyburn-Estevan throughout the evening tonight, but most of us still dealing with quite a bit of cloud cover. Now, through the night tonight, in the warm sector of the system, before the cold front hits, I think there could still be some spotty showers and maybe some freezing rain in some spots. Behind the cold front overnight tonight, we are looking for some flurries through the evening. I think most of us going to be seeing cloud cover. And then as we get into tomorrow morning, this system from Alberta does spill in a little bit to southwestern Saskatchewan. You will see some light snow. And then tomorrow afternoon, clearing starts to move into portions of the province, especially along the eastern side, kind of in an area from Meadow Lake southeast toward Estevan, I think is where we're going to see that line of cloud. North and east of there, we're going to be seeing mostly sunny conditions. High pressure moves in, really going to be locking cold in place as we get through the day on Saturday, and that is really going to be clearing us out. Now, in terms of snowfall through the morning tomorrow, you're not looking for much in the southwest, maybe 2 to 4 centimeters at the most, and everyone else kind of east of Swift Current, really not looking for anything there. Been a long time since we've seen this deep shade of red on the wind map, and gusts have been, as I mentioned earlier, up to 80 kilometers an hour in some parts of the province. That is still sliding eastward or south and east through the province tonight. And I think by the midnight hours, those warnings should come to an end, and we should start to see that moving out. And tomorrow afternoon, we're actually looking at wind gusts being not too bad. And on Saturday, as those kind of warm and very cold systems fight with each other, we're looking for winds to pick up a little bit, so that'll drop wind chills a bit as well. With that system overnight tonight, we are looking, and into tomorrow morning, we are looking for visibilities to drop along the Trans-Canada, kind of between Swift Current and the Alberta border. So keep that in mind once again. But you're all clear, basically, by the time we get to tomorrow afternoon. Now, the reason that we're going to be, we've been seeing these systems is because they have been running along the jet stream here, easy access into Saskatchewan, but over these next few days, that begins to change. That colder air seeping south. But I think the polar vortex, that really deep area of purple you see there, is going to stay to our east, and the really, really deep cold that we were worried was going to be hitting us is likely not going to be coming to fruition. That having been said, it is still going to be cold, and especially in portions of the north tonight, wind chills could be dropping down into the mid-30s, and frostbite will likely be possible in seconds. That cold drops southward into Regina into the weekend. We do get some clearing on Saturday. Of course, a little bit breezy, so we are seeing some of those wind chills, and then the cloud cover is going to largely stay out of our hair, I think. Same with Saskatoon, where after we see a little bit of a cloudy day tomorrow, temperatures are going to be cool and sunnier, but they do warm up, Sam, so that cold is not prolonged, which is good news.
Looking forward to that. Thanks, Ethan.
Yes. You bet.
How much you'd have to hit this so thin.
Saskatchewan's top female curlers are in action, battling out in Estevan at the Viterra Scotties Tournament of Hearts. There are 12 teams from across Saskatchewan, including defending champ Penny Barker. It kicked off last night and goes until the 29th, and starting February 1st, the Sasktel Tankard men's playdowns will take over the rink. You can follow the draws live on YouTube on Curl Sask's channel. We'll be back after the break. The federal government today announced an appointment aimed at countering anti-Muslim discrimination and hate. Amira El Gabwi has been named Special Representative on combating Islamophobia.
It is my hope that I can act as a bridge builder and work with leaders to inspire all Canadians to better understand Muslim identities and cultures.
El Gawabi says she'll base her advice to the government on what Muslim Canadians tell her new office. She's currently with the Canadian Race Relations Foundation and contributes a freelance column to the Toronto Star. A new report says Home Depot shared personal customer data with the parent company of Facebook without proper consent. Canada's privacy watchdog says information came from electronic receipts. Thomas Dagla has more.
Shoppers at Home Depot are often asked for their email address at checkout, ostensibly to send an e-receipt like this, making returns easier. Or at least that's what many customers were led to believe.
We're busy, we just think we're getting a receipt.
I don't really look at any of the fine print that's on the screen.
It turns out since 2018, the retail giant was sharing Canadian e-receipt data with Facebook's parent company.
As you hear more about things like this, it's like, no, I'd rather opt not out of it.
In a new report, the federal privacy commissioner slams Home Depot for failing to obtain shoppers' consent.
When they were buying at the counter, they had no reason to suspect that this information would be shared.
In what Meta calls its offline conversions program, Home Depot sent its customers' purchase information and encoded email addresses. In turn, Facebook used that data to tailor ads to individual users.
They're taking these email lists, uploading them into Facebook so that you can retarget your audience.
What's more, the privacy watchdog says other retailers may be doing the same if they're asking for your email address.
This practice is not consistent with privacy law. It has to stop.
He worries in some stores, customer data could be used to glean sensitive details about a shopper's health or sexuality without them ever knowing.
I'm certain that other companies are doing this, and this is a wake-up call that privacy is important. It's a fundamental right.
The hardware chain told CBC News it stopped using the data sharing tool 3 months ago once the privacy commissioner raised concerns. Home Depot said it values and respects the privacy of its customers. Thomas Dagg of CBC News, Toronto.
An iceberg that's more than 1,500 square kilometers in size has broken off the Brunt ice shelf in Antarctica. These satellite images provided by the European Space Agency show the exact moment the iceberg broke away. There's a British research station located in the vicinity, but it was not affected. Scientists with the British Antarctic Survey say this event was expected and is not caused by climate change. We could lose some snowbanks overnight, Ethan.
Yeah, I think especially with the rain that we've had today, we will. But over the next couple of days, get ready. Going to get cold, and they'll be right back. Our temperature descent begins tonight in Regina, -6 at midnight. We're looking for that wind warning probably to drop off because the winds will be getting under the criteria for the warning. But by tomorrow morning, nice and calm east winds under 10 kilometers an hour, just some light flurries. But as we go into the afternoon, winds picking up again, temperature dropping to around -11. But I think we will see mostly cloudy skies. Snow should be done by then. Saskatoon, some flurries tonight around -5. You're also going to be dropping as we head into the morning hours tomorrow around 11 a.m. by the morning. Northeast gusts around 35 kilometers an hour. You could see some sun in Saskatoon, I think, but it will be a mostly cloudy day. Those northeast winds still pretty gusty, Sam.
All right. Thanks, Ethan.
You're welcome.
And before we go, a quick programming note. Tomorrow, we're back at 5:30 instead of 6 ahead of Ottawa and Toronto in NHL action. But for news anytime, you can always head to cbc.ca/sask or /Saskatoon or subscribe to CBC Saskatchewan's YouTube channel. Glenn, Reed, and Ethan will be back with more local news and weather tonight at 11. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great night. Stay safe.